turns out there's like busted hell bombs that didn't go off, just scattered throughout the planet. And I was like, hey, I think this is a drop pod, and if you blow it up, there's like stuff in it, because that's another thing in the game. They look a little bit similar, but I realized very quickly I was incorrect.
He realized it because he killed me.
I threw a grenade at it, which is what you're supposed to do to the drop pods that are malfunctioning, that if you blow them up, there's something in there. I threw a grenade at it, and it was like a nuke went off. It's the biggest explosion ever.
I was still like 3 feet from it, and I just got deleted from the map.
It was so fast. It was like blink and you're gone. It was so insane. Hello and welcome to Grass Touchers, the show where the three of us guys talk about how little video games we've been playing lately, and also how much we like them, despite how little time we have. I am Jake.
I'm Dr. Doodoo PPN.
My favorite character that you bring up.
No, this is Jared.
Oh, cool.
And I'm Greg.
Let's hear it. Dr. Doodoo PP Head. What have you been playing lately?
That's
So
Mr.
good. So
Dr. Doodoo PP Head to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Excuse me,
doesn't-
doctor.
Yeah.
He didn't go to 4 years of poo-poo pee-pee
I didn't go to
school to be called Mister.
8!
7 years
kidding
of college
me?
down the drain.
Yeah. Straight down the pooper. Well, fellas, I've been doing largely the same things that I was doing last time. Unfortunately, I don't have anything really new to report. I'm getting better at Dota. The
Cool.
mental stack is starting to stack less, maybe. Things are starting to fire out there. But aside from that, I've been thinking about my album, While My Guitar Gently Farts.
Oh, yes. I want to hear
Nice,
more
dude.
track names.
Yeah,
Let's hear it.
there's Stairway to the Bathroom. Here comes my
Paint it brown.
Paint It Brown by the Rolling Stones. There is I was just gonna say it. Oh no, I had it. But anyways, Black Hole Sun. This is the same title. No comment. But yeah, it's coming along, and really can't wait for the release of that.
You forgot to mention the bonus track. You told me it was going to be a hidden track at the end.
There'll be a few.
Man, I feel like I'm.
Yeah. Well, that one's an original.
The
best thing about going to the bathroom is the prerogative to take a little dump. Okay, guys. Sheryl Crow.
I think that's right.
Pretty
The
stupid.
prerogative to take a little dump in.
Whoa! Yeah. Totally pooping. Totally pooping. Wiping my. Oh. So that's coming along pretty nicely. I've been thinking a little
So glad to
bit
hear that.
about watching I've been keeping my finger on the pulse, and Greg's been informing me of some of his exploits, and I think mostly I just want to hear from him tonight, Greg.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to talk the whole time, but as far as video games, I've been playing Helldivers 2 with Jake and Tyler, which has been super fun. I knew it was going to be fun. I mean, people like, when these games come out and they're a smash hit, there's a reason usually, unless it's Fortnite, which is like an objectively bad game. But no, I'm just kidding. But it's been an absolute blast, and we'll probably get to that more here in a little bit when Jake talks about it. That game's great, and I've been watching X-Men 97, which is super, super cool. Invincible just finished, so like episode 8, which is the second season finale, just aired, so that's done. But X-Men 97 is rad. Way better than I could have ever imagined. I'll talk about that more later. But I haven't played many video games. I actually don't think I've played PUBG. What, have we even played PUBG this week, Jake?
I know I have not. I don't know if any of y'all hopped on with Tyler at any point.
Much like Siege, I've literally never played PUBG without Jake. I think I played.
Right.
Well, no, I played with Tyler like twice, just me and Tyler, and it was fun.
Right.
But I think to this day, I think I've got a record of Siege where I don't think I've actually ever played. I don't think I've ever solo queued Siege ever.
Well, that's because that game sucks.
That game does suck.
It also sucks to play solo even more than it already. Yeah, I know you could just stop right there and it'd be a complete sentence. But solo queuing in Siege is a real challenge. I have done that to a degree when I want to like warm up for a little bit or kill some time in an afternoon and like stay fresh. Because as we've discussed, you have to play that game consistently to like stay up on it.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
why don't you guys take a ride on the wild side one of these days? Hop on Dota. And
I thought about it honestly.
Dude,
I have had that installed on my machine at one point.
Well, you know what's weird is I went into Steam and I went to install Dota and it said this game is already in your library. And I went, okay.
Oh, really?
And I went, okay. And I went to my library and it's not there. I can't find it anywhere. And so then I go back into the store and I click on where it says free to play. I just click on that button and nothing happens. And then it says, this game's already in your library. And then I go back to my library. It's like a repetitive cycle.
Is it the launcher? Isn't that a different launcher, Jared? Riot Games or something?
No. That's League of Legends. Dota is a Steam, is a Valve.
Oh, my bad. Wrong one.
How do you, and we can probably leave this in the pod so people can, apparently if I'm I'll quote tech savvy as I am, I can't figure it out. Maybe people need to know. How do you actually access Dota 2?
It launches straight off of Steam. It's in my library. It sounds like you got some kind of weird buggy thing happening over there. It did have kind of an odd release because it was technically in beta for a long time, and then it was possible that maybe you went to install it when it was the hottest game flavor of the month thing, and then just never played it, and for some reason it's the beta might be in your, I don't know, something weird like that. But
I have had that happen where I had a demo or a beta version of a game in my library, and then Steam falsely recognized it. I wonder if that's it. If you go to your library and you just see all of the games installed or otherwise, see if Dota 2 shows up, and then if you can remove it.
It's fixed now.
You said it.
what?
Hey, look at there. What'd you do?
I just exited out of Steam and reloaded it, and then hit play game, and it said, "Where do you want to install the game?" So great.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Very interesting.
Nice.
Well, if I can speak to that for just a moment, like I said on last week's pod, there's a steep learning curve, and you do have to kind of concede that it's you're gonna probably get your butt kicked a little bit if you do try this game.
Sure.
But it is extremely rewarding and a ton of fun. It is the most fun version of chess, basically. So, yeah.
Nice, man. If it's something that you can get away with, how important would you say Twitchy sort of mechanical skill is in that game? Clicks per minute kind of thing. Not very important. It's mostly a brain thing.
It is. I mean, there's a lot of clicking. You can ask my wife how much I click when I'm playing Dota. It's constant clicking, but it's not like you have to be clicking the perfect thing all the time. Siege is oh, you peeked and you're dead. You just got somebody on the other team is just a buzzsaw, and you're just there's nothing you can do. That's not going to happen. The game, more than anything, the game will probably pass you by. By the end game, you will find that you are underleveled and you are under your build is. But I also, for the record, I started playing this game when it was in beta, when it was bare bones, when it was a game that was a sequel to Dota, the original, which was a port of Warcraft, and it was the people who knew Dota, they already knew how to play Dota, so it didn't need a tutorial or they didn't care about putting a tutorial in. Now there's a lot of tools to help people understand the game and in a rudimentary fashion. And heck, if you guys get if you guys get extremely bored and want to play that, I will absolutely play that game with you. So much
cool,
fun.
man. I was gonna say the original Dota was like Warcraft 3, right? It was like an alternate game mode for Warcraft 3.
Right.
From what because I played the original, like the mod, the Dota, or not the mod, but the game type. Warcraft 3, rad game. Side note.
I don't think I knew that. That's interesting. I never got into any of the Warcraft or StarCraft games. I have really enjoyed Helldivers 2. I have that's a game that you can solo queue, at least in my experience. I'm staying at the level 3 and level 4 difficulties. Honestly, level 4 is a little bit of a challenge, whether you're playing with randoms or people that communicate well or people that you know. And I've been trying to grind out level 4 more because there's a rare sample that you can only get in 4 and higher. So yeah, just a lot of Helldivers 2 whenever I am playing something. That's literally the only game I've played besides like Wordle and just a tiny bit of. I'm still playing Red Faction Guerrilla on the Steam Deck from time to time because that game is so fun to jump in and out of, just like blow stuff up and then shut it down. As far as TV, you guys mentioned a TV show. I've watched Shogun, which is a FX original that you can stream on Hulu. Comes out every week on Tuesdays. I think it was episode 7 or 8 here recently that had a very big, like, I guess you'd say cliffhanger, like something you maybe assumed was coming. They sort of like revealed someone's intentions, and it was like, whoa, here we go, dude. That era of Japanese history is so interesting, and they dig so deep into cultural stuff. I'm no weeaboo, but like seeing it displayed, what I assume is very genuinely, right? They at one point, one character performs like a tea ceremony for someone else, and they hate each other's guts, but they sit there perfectly solemnly. And the chick that was being served tea was like, "Your performance was very beautiful, nice work," And it's like there's all this tension in the room, but hey, culture comes first, protocol comes first,
Right.
And so that aspect of the show is really, really interesting. The way that they can undercut tension with like just a display of manners and how people will go around this corner. They have to take the long way around to say with the thing that they really want to say because protocol. And so yeah, that's a great show. And I started to watch a show that I heard really good things about, but I didn't really get very far. It's called Physical 100. It's a Korean like fitness. Have you checked it out?
Yeah.
I heard it's pretty like hardcore and very fun to watch.
It's fun.
But the very first episode was sort of a drag where they were introducing all these people, and I was like folding laundry, and I was like, ugh, next. I had an ADD moment where I couldn't start it, but I might try to start that one because I've heard good things. The second season, I guess, dropped recently, and it's pretty good. But
dude, I watched.
So yeah, mostly Helldivers.
The Koreans are an interesting people. I watched a show on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix. It was called like Inferno Island. And this is
oh yeah,
this is purely out of curiosity. I don't really usually watch these kinds of shows, but it was like a dating show, and I was like, they got me with like the little blurb thing that they show you, the little vignette thing that they show, and I was like, you know what? At this point, I was like, I basically like don't even want to be awake, but I'm forced to be awake right now, so I'm gonna just watch this. And it was so weird because their manners are like it was like The Bachelor, but they didn't even want to have sex. Like it wasn't even like they couldn't because of TV. It's like they don't even want to, which makes me wonder how they continue as a civilization, because I don't think they're sexual at all, dude.
Yeah, like, hey, what gives?
Are
you guys gonna do this thing? Or
reproduce through pods, like pea pods, and then they just like fall out of them?
Well, anyway, speaking of fantastic television, I've heard wonderful things about X-Men '97, which you mentioned. Let's get into that. Is it a throwback? Is it hip and cool by today's standards? Is it both? Like, what's up?
So it is a plot-wise. It starts. I'm guessing like a month or two, or maybe a year, chronologically, like after the original '90s X-Men ended, right? So essentially, the plot is that Professor X, like the headmaster or whatever, Charles Xavier, was murdered or disappeared. They don't exactly say, even as far as I'm at, they don't exactly say whether he was like murdered for sure or just disappeared. But he's gone, and it's in the same it still takes place obviously like in the 90s chronologically, and so there aren't cell phones, and like it's very of that time. Right. But the animation's great, dude. The animation's good. It's the same theme song, and the plot is very mature. I would say much more mature than the 90s show, which was quite mature for a kid's show.
Yeah.
And I think, I believe the original 90s cartoon was meant for children.
Certainly in the 90s it would have been anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quote-unquote kid shows that are grossly immature / mature, depending on how you look at it. In the 90s, there was no such thing as Adventure Time or Rick and Morty or Family Guy or these like shows that kind of, had this target audience of like middle school and high school or whatever. Everything was a little more on the up and up back then, so it's pretty
But yeah, it's good. It's really, really good. The thing I really like about it, and I'm gonna sound like a conservative when I say this, and that's not the intention at all. This is not a political statement on either side, but there's this trend in shows in television right now and movies, all media, where it feels like everybody has to make some sort of statement. And on both sides, right? Like whether it's some sort of statement about gun rights or some sort of statement about whatever. Yeah. It feels like every show has to make some sort of tongue-in-cheek political statement. And the thing I love about this show is there's none of that. There's no like I don't even know what the word is, but there are no moments where you feel like Marvel is trying to make a statement here. They're trying to say something here. That never happens, right? And It just feels like the show exists for itself. It exists to satisfy and glorify the comic books and for nostalgia of the original show from the 90s for people that grew up with that. And it's great.
That's awesome.
It is quite dark. I mean, there are some spoiler alert. There are some shocking deaths in the show, some things you would not expect, and some shocking relationship things, but just the production quality is off the charts, guys. It's great. I recommend everybody check it out. Jake did a whole thing a couple episodes ago about cartoons, right? About animated shows, and but to recap, kind of like some things that I think are great about this that make it kind of different, right? Are one, it feels like you're watching the '90s X-Men show. Like it feels like you're sitting in your mom and dad's living room with a bowl of cereal and a bowl of Lucky Charms, as it were.
Oh, nice.
You got your jammies on and you're watching. I mean, it's cool. And when the first time the theme song came on, Casey was like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "You mind your own business, you." No, I'm kidding.
Jeez.
But the nostalgia is definitely there. Another thing that's cool is most of the voice actors from that show came back to voice this show.
Oh, wow.
So like the guy who voiced Wolverine is back voicing It sounds like 90s freaking Wolverine. The guy who voiced Cyclops is back doing Cyclops, and like I think the Magneto voice actor is back also. He sounds
awesome.
He sounds very similar to the 90s, like very deep, like commanding. I'm the master of magnetism. It's the very like hammy in that regard.
Well, to their great credit, it was 25-ish years ago. Like, my voice is probably going to be a little different 25 years from now too.
Yeah. So the voice acting's great. The nostalgia factor is off the charts, and story-wise, they take the story in places that you don't expect without being like politically preaching, and so it's a 10 out of 10 for me, guys. Like
or like a twist for twist's sake, sort of like, why would they do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, there are some twists there are twists in the show, but you're like, oh, that like totally makes sense that would happen, like if Professor Xavier were gone, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that totally makes sense. So
cool, dude.
I find it interesting, and I'm hopeful, but I am doubtful. This looks to be when a franchise is done extremely right by a large corporation, that usually signals to me that they're making a long-term play. And so, like, I love X-Men. as
Especially
a franchise.
when it's a revival of some kind.
Right. And to go to such lengths to like make sure that this is good, because we talked about this, I feel like we talked about this recently, how like Disney has the power to make everything they make good.
Yeah.
They don't though, because there's certain
that
things
would require them to slow down.
right. And
they slow down.
and to me this feels like they're like setting up a major play, cuz X-Men it's like massive untapped potential. X-Men is, as far as Marvel goes, X-Men's huge. X-Men was the biggest show on the block in the 90s when Jim Lee was doing the art for the after Uncanny ended, and they did the I don't know what iteration of X-Men that is technically. But
you're pulling out some knowledge I ain't got.
But it was huge.
And also Marvel just got back the rights to X-Men like 4 years ago.
Right.
Like to actually put the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Which is which is huge. So
we need it though, dude. We need it because
yes.
X-Men was bigger than all these other franchises, and they've been farting around with Iron Man and the Hulk and Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man was my favorite growing up, but it's crazy to me because it's like, and I'm sure Disney, full of all their executives, know this, but X-Men could be bigger than all of those things.
Oh,
and they're
easily.
just
it's a whole
licking
universe
their
unto
chops.
itself.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Jared, what about Madam Web?
Madam Web.
I heard that movie. I heard that movie was so bad.
In all fairness, Madam Web is a Sony movie, but it's not MCU. But I take your point. There's a bunch of garbage out there
on the street.
Spider-Man is legally in that movie because Peter Parker, whose name I think they don't quite say, this is all secondhand knowledge.
They call him PP.
In the movie, Peter Parker is like born in the hospital, and they like show it, and I'm like, hey, look, it's Spider-Man. Like it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's.
yeah.
I know it's not we can't pin it on Disney if that movie sucks, but like. The point being, whether it's Disney or whether it's Sony or whether it's DC and Universal Studios or anybody else, Legendary Pictures, whatever, there's an incredible amount of garbo content because they don't want to slow down. I hope what does not happen is that there's a spin-off show for every friggin' X-Man or X-Woman, right? You know, I hope that they don't sort of use and abuse any newfound X-Men traction that they get, you know. Did you guys see my favorite X-Men content ever? Because I've seen like some of those movies that came out several years ago, and the shows and stuff. Logan. You guys watched Logan?
That movie is so good.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely killing. That show or movie blew my mind. It reinvigorated any feelings I had for X-Men sort of across the board. Like absolutely gripping. Incredibly grounded, if X-Men can be grounded. Really interesting adaptation of an X-Men story. I thought that movie was extremely good.
Yeah.
That scene, the opening. Sorry, spoiler alert, guys. The movie's been out almost 10 years now. But that
really? Oh no.
2016 was when that movie came out. Yeah.
2017.
2017.
Wow.
Okay. 2016 or 2017. One of those. That opening scene though, when he's like driving the limo around for like cash, and like those guys try to beat him up, and he like brings his claws out, and like one of them doesn't like quite come out all the way because he's old. Like I laugh every time that happens. It's like it's so smart, like the way they made that movie. That's like of course this would happen to a guy who can't die. Like at some point, stuff's gonna stop working. Like it stops working for all of us. You know what I'm saying.
What?
Man, I just can't stop thinking about Helldivers 2. Like seriously, I keep wanting to. I'm probably gonna play it after we're done recording. I have been so like, this will never get old about that game, right? The way that they dish out currency frequently enough that you're always, after almost every mission, provided you sought out at least a couple of extra objectives, you will probably have enough currency to go buy one of the things that you can unlock in the game. And there's been times, like, Greg, when you and me and Tyler played it, and I was like, hey, guys, check it out. I got this new thing. I don't know what it looks like. I haven't used it yet. Let's try it. And it was the biggest explosion. And then there was a time where I saw what I thought was a hell bomb, which is that's an item that you can call down from the sky to blow up objectives. It's not something that you have to like bring in or equip or unlock. It's like just a default one that shows up sometimes as available, depending on where you're on the map. And turns out there's like busted hell bombs that didn't go off, just scattered throughout the planet. And I was like, hey, I think this is a drop pod, and if you blow it up, there's like stuff in it, because that's another thing in the game. They look a little bit similar, but I realized very quickly I was incorrect.
He realized it because he killed me.
I threw a grenade at it, which is what you're supposed to do to the drop pods that are malfunctioning, that if you blow them up, there's something in there. I threw a grenade at it, and it was like a nuke went off. It's the biggest explosion ever.
I was still like 3 feet from it, and I just got deleted from the map.
It was so fast. It was like blink and you're gone. It was so insane. The scope that they're achieving in that game is so incredible. The way that the ships in the sky are actual sort of real time, representative of things that other players are calling in. I think one of my favorite cinematically, the way it looks and feels. One of my favorite moments was if you're playing at a nighttime sort of part of the planet, because you can just see like where the planet that you're going to is in relation to its sun. You can see what parts of the planet are dark and what parts of the planet are light for daytime and nighttime. If you do a nighttime bug mission and you call in napalm, it's like Fortunate Son starts playing in your head, and it's like the way that napalm just sort of lights up the ground and these bugs are crawling through. It's so engaging. And we've said, despite being developed by a relatively small studio, this game, if it came out, I don't know, 5 years ago, it would be at the top of the leaderboards, right up there with the legends like Crysis or something. Like, it looks incredible. Really, really good. I'm running it on like high. And I think I took 1 or 2 sliders and put them on medium just for extra frames, but it looks very, very good. Greg, what were some of your favorite like moments or game mechanics or I don't know, just various things that you appreciate about the game so far? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
If I could sum up the game so far in one word, my experience with it would be, it's a satisfying game, right? Like it is satisfying to play, which is another term for fun.
Right.
it is satisfying. Like a couple things that I like. One, I like that it's pretty quick, right? The average match. Sorry, I guess a better way to say this is it feels quick. It doesn't feel drawn out and long, right? Like, although
right.
The average, like when you and Tyler and I played last night, like each time we dropped was probably 45 minutes worth of gameplay.
The time limit is 40 minutes on the
the
typical missions. It can go a little bit longer than that, but after 40 minutes, you can't call down any stratagems anymore, which is really panic-inducing. So like those cluster bombs or those napalm strikes or those big bombs, those can't save your bacon anymore, and you just got to get to the extraction with none of those tools at your disposal. Not a resupply, not anything.
Yeah.
I've been in that situation, but yes, it's about 40 minutes if you go kind of all the way. You could probably knock it out in like 25 or less. But
yeah, I like that it feels like you can do a lot in a short amount of time, right? Like it doesn't drag out. You don't have to play this game for 2 or 3 hours to get a lot out of it, right? I like that.
Yeah.
I like how it looks, especially at night. Mm-hmm. The game looks incredible at nighttime. Like,
yeah,
from like the flaming pillars of smoke and from volcanoes off in the distance, and different planet, like Saturn-looking planets with rings around them, that you can only see at nighttime, right? It just looks awesome. The only thing I didn't like about the lighting at night was the lights, like the street light.
Yeah, the like street light type deals.
Yeah, this is like way too bright.
If you go to a base or an encampment or a little outpost thing that is that's man-made, there's these lights that are hung up just like street lights, and the bloom effect on them is really intense. So if you just have the typical settings enabled, it's gonna really wash out, and there's bugs coming at you, and you you like have to squint, like you can't see the bug coming at you. But you can just shoot out the lights, Splinter Cell style.
You can, and also kind of that bloom effect. It looks very realistic. I mean, it kind of is what it would be like if you had a bright light shining in your face on an otherwise desolate, dark planet, right?
Right, and that haziness from just sort of the smoke and debris of the whole planet, kicking up dust or whatever, like. It makes the light kind of spread in a way, this cloud effect. I think it's very convincing what they've done with it. You can just choose to shoot out the lights if you really need to,
Yeah. So. A couple other things I really like. The guns feel very good. All of them feel very deadly.
Did you grab a shotgun at any point?
I
either
did.
That you brought in or borrowed?
I did. I didn't enjoy the shotgun that much because I just didn't like having to reload so often. Just like I didn't enjoy the railgun that much. Although against armored foes, it's kind of hard to top, right? But it's you have to reload the railgun after every single shot, and the shotgun after every 2. So I prefer.
Oh, you're talking about the break action, the like heavy weapon
action,
shotgun. Yeah.
I really liked the machine gun in that game. That gun, you just mow people down, dude. You just mow people down and like, it's very cool. The guns feel good. The atmosphere is awesome. It's there are certain games like it where team-based games where you struggle, at least in my experience, some games you struggle feeling important, like feeling like you have an important role on the team, especially if you're not an experienced player at the game, right?
Right.
This is not one of those games. Like you've played 3 or 4 times as many hours as I have, right?
Sure.
Which is, by the way, not a lot for either of us compared to other compared to other games we played. But I feel like, even though I'm not I feel just as valuable because the game makes you feel successful.
Yeah, it's so important to stay on top of the different mobs and patrols of like aliens that come at you. And listeners, to be clear, I realize there are robots in the game. We didn't do any robot missions. We've just done the alien planet so far. Just wanted to keep it a little simpler because the bugs are a little more user friendly for the beginning player. Everybody has to be like head on a swivel, like killing bugs. Like at very few points, even at the level 3 difficulty that we have played at so far, you're not safe very often. If you like, here's an example. I went to play earlier today on a break. I went to play. There's a 15-minute kind of mission that you can do that's called a blitz. They have blitz, search, and destroy, where you have to go kill as many bug nests as you can in 15 minutes and then extract. And then they have one where you just have to sit there and like tower defense. Like you have to kill a bunch of bugs, and the map is way, way smaller. It's like one big compound with sort of a small outlying area around it. You have to stay in that area, and you have to kill 500 bugs or however many, which goes by really quickly. And I went into one because I turned my matchmaking to public, and I was like, hey, there's this guy by himself. He's just about to start this mission. Let me drop in there with him. And it was level 3. It wasn't anything insane. But he had been in the mission for like 1 or 2 minutes. And I finally joined up with him after selecting my loadout as quickly as I could or whatever. And by the time we had synced up, I drop in. It's just me and him. And I think he was lower level than me. I'm only level 15 or 16. He had done nothing. He didn't really kill any bugs yet, but they keep spawning no matter what you do. So if you don't stay on top of them, you will get overrun like crazy. And that's exactly what happened. We were in this position that we would have been able to set up, a turret over here, maybe a minefield, call in cluster bomb. It's a very defensible little map. But this poor guy hadn't gotten anything killed yet. So when I came in, it was too late. It's just too late because if you're a member of the team and you're not shooting bad guys, it will get more overwhelming more quickly. So I tried my best, but we did not make it. So yeah, you always feel useful because at a sort of baseline level, you got to be killing stuff all the time. All the little terminals are really cool. What do you think of the terminals and where you hold control and push in the DDR up, down, left, right thing? Is that do you dig that mechanic? Is it annoying to you for now, or? What do you think?
I like it. The what do you call them? The
stratagems.
Stratagems. the stratagems and the terminals are super cool. I think it's a really cool mechanic having to do kind of like the little DDR thing, and like it creates just enough panic that it feels important without being cumbersome.
Right.
It's great. And I wish more games would make it more difficult to do tough things, right? Like, because the idea behind it, I'm assuming, is like you're calling down some, reinforcement, some pod literally from freaking outer space, right? That should take more steps than boom. It's like it should take 3 or 4 steps, which is what it takes, right? And so it's very cool mechanic, very cool system, and I totally dig the game.
I'm really liking it too. I'm so glad that the stratagems are the same combination every time. So eventually you just kind of learn them, and if you have some favorites, you'll be much quicker. The more devastating a stratagem is, the more inputs it has. Some of them have like 8 or 9, but then the really basic ones are like 3. There's one that I've already memorized, the Eagle Strafing Run, where a fighter jet comes in and just like uses a Gatling cannon to do like a straight line of light damage, but it's really useful. Is up, right. Like, it's really easy to just pop, boom, and then the call-in time on that is really quick. Whereas the terminals are random every time, and the higher difficulties you play, the more tricky the sequences are.
What's the longest sequence you've seen?
I think it was 9 or 10 or something. I wasn't really counting because, like you said, it's the super panicky moment where I'm like, go, okay. But there's there's a lot of things that change with the difficulty curves, not just number of enemies. The types of enemies that you see, like, you remember it wasn't humongous, but it was really armored. There's like a big head sort of crest piece, and then like 2 front legs are armored. You see more and more of those as the difficulty level goes up. There's some bosses there's some bosses that you have to fight as a main objective. Me and Tyler ran one last night where we had to kill 2 chargers. I don't think you've even seen a charger yet, Deg. But it's like a giant version of that armored thing I just told you about. And it's this huge, lumbering, hulking thing that looks like really slow. But once it like activates on you and you've aggroed it, it sort of slowly like churns up, and now it's rushing at you, and it can blow through buildings and fences and objects. And if it hits you, you go like flying across the map, and it's really, really heavy damage doing. But they're at higher difficulties. That's just a normal enemy. Like, it's not special. It's not a boss. They just spawn in. And so there's the difficulty curve affects, not just, games that have enemies that are just bullet sponges. And the only reason that it's harder is because it takes more rounds. Like, that to me it's like a really lazy way to design, a difficulty curve. In this situation, all the enemies take the same number of hits to kill, but the number of them and the type of them and sort of how tenacious they are, can change. So yeah, I'm so glad that you're digging it. And Jared, I hope you can join us on it one day, brother.
Yeah, I'm admittedly distracted. I have no plans to purchase a game right now, financially speaking. And and I was thinking to myself this week, I was like, I need to buy that game before I buy any other game. And then I forgot that RimWorld Anomaly came out today.
Oh no!
And
did it jump the line on you?
It jumped the line a little bit. I'm gonna do my research. I don't have all of the RimWorld DLC just because certain parts of it don't appeal to me, and frankly, the game is so deep it doesn't need some of the DLC they have for it. But we'll see.
Yeah,
we will see.
What was your? I know it's a laptop card, but what card does your laptop have?
I think it's a 3050 T or something like that.
Because the recommended, I know you've probably already looked at it, but supposedly you meet the recommended specs because it says, at least as far as the GPU goes, because it says a 2060. Granted, that's a desktop card, not a laptop card.
Right.
If you're gaming on a 2060 with like an i7, then you should be getting like 1080p, 60 frames a second.
Oh, I will check it out. I mean, it's definitely a game that I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to Grass Touchers. It is a labor of love, and we love you guys. We love to make it. Jake puts in the brunt of the work, and we appreciate him greatly. And we don't ask anything in return. All we ask is that you keep listening. And then you also comment and just say mean stuff about anybody, really, in the comment section. It's totally fine. Just let us hear what you're thinking. Left wing, right wing. Just let it fly. Just get in there and start telling us all about it.
All engagement is good engagement.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
There's no such thing as bad press.
That's right.
This stage in the game, let it rip. We want to hear. You can interact with us on Instagram at 3GrassTouchers. We are on YouTube. If you're not already subscribed to that, and that is at Grass. That's at Grass Touchers, correct?
At 3GrassTouchers, same deal actually.
At 3GrassTouchers on YouTube.
I've got a little bit of Helldivers footage that might end up there at some point, so that's pretty cool.
Okay, well, check that out, and we appreciate you guys listening. We'll catch you next time.
That's right. Get out there, people, and touch some grass.